Good evening, everyone. Dave here. How are you this evening? It's a beautiful day here. I just want to thank everyone for your prayers and encouragement to go ahead and do another one. I promised you a Rapture dream. I don't know if this qualifies as a Rapture dream. I guess in a sense it is. It was over 20 years ago I had this dream, but it's as fresh now as in my mind as it was the morning I woke up with it. I'd like to read a psalm, part of a psalm, because I feel that it's pertinent to the dream. It's just part of Psalm number 69. It starts out, "Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. I sink in the miry depths where there is no foothold. I have come into the deep waters. The floods engulf me." And then you go down to verse 13. "But I pray to you, O Lord, in the time of your favor. In your great love, O God, answer me with your sure salvation. Rescue me from the mire. Do not let me sink. Deliver me from those who hate me, from the deep waters. Do not let the flood waters engulf me, or the depths swallow me up." Now, as I tell the dream, you'll see the connection. I may have just read the psalm and then had the dream that night. I don't know. But it was very vivid and it was in color, so that tells me it was probably from God. Excuse me. I'll get right into it. I was standing on a shoreline at sunset. I was just a little ways up from the water, and I was looking out towards the sea. And down by the water, there stood a man, a very slim man with long hair, and all he was wearing was a loincloth, and he was looking out to sea towards the sunset. It was a beautiful scene. I love the ocean. Anyway, in the next, I don't remember whether it's, it wasn't clear whether he sank down into the sand or that was the next thing I saw, but he was buried in the sand up to his neck at low tide. You can guess what happened after that. The tide came in. It covered his head, gradually covered his head, and I could see his head tossing from side to side under the water, trying to get air. The next thing I saw was the tide had gone out, and he was still buried up to his neck in the sand with his head bent forward. But then, and it was still a sunset, still a beautiful sunset, but then his head lifted up, he lifted up his head, and he rose up out of the sand, he lifted up out of the sand, and stood on the shore where he was in the first place, at low tide, looking out to the ocean. There was not a speck of dirt on him or his little bit of clothes he had on. It was white as it was before. He turned around, he walked up towards the cliffs that were near the up from the shoreline, hollowed out cliffs, kind of a cave. He walked into that cave and he sat down facing the shore behind an easel, an artist's easel with a canvas on it. He picked up a brush and he started painting a picture. Now, on the rocks in the back of the cave, looking at him, were dozens of large birds. They were watching him paint, and these birds had the faces of people. I would say men by the Bible, but I don't want to leave anybody out. They had the faces of men, large birds. They were watching him paint. And I had a feeling of great peace, I guess. I was watching this. Anyway, my scene went from there to... I seemed to come out of the cave and I turned left with the water at my right. I turned left and I went down the shore, and it went from being a beautiful sunset to a dark, gloomy day, a rocky coastline, a rugged, rocky coastline, and I came to a pier jutting out into the water. It was a very large and long pier. It went way out into the water. Excuse me. I looked out to sea and I saw a large black submarine surface out from the pier, and it made its way up next to the pier. It stopped, and the hatch on the top of it opened. A man in a suit climbed out of the hatch. He stood on top of the sub, and then he made his way down onto the pier. And he stood there on the pier. He had a profound darkness around him that gave me, that frankly gave me the creeps. He had a briefcase in one hand, and he was looking in my direction. Now, I don't know, I mentioned in my last video I have breathing problems, and it goes back. I mean, 99% of it's my fault from smoking over the years, but there may be. I worked for a couple of years in a fiberglass plant, and I didn't always have a good respiratory mask on. My grandfather on my mom's side and my mom both came down with it. Emphysema was the old term for it. But that's, I'm not looking for sympathy or anything. It's my doing, and anyway, that's not the point. The man in the dream was deprived of air, and that's my interpretation of it. May or may not be me, but who's to say? The happy ending to it is that he did lift up out of the sand, and he was clean. And he could breathe. And sitting down behind an artist's canvas and beginning to paint a picture, well, that may be, it may be wishful thinking, but that may be me contributing to doing my little part to inform people of the earth that we are in the last times, and whomever God has opened their minds to, the words of the Bible and so on and so forth, and prophecy and what have you, and whoever can see what's going on in the world right now, it may help. I don't know. But I guess in the sense that man lifted up out of the sand, and even after he drowned, he was born again. He was raptured up from death. So I mean, that if that qualifies, and so be it. Now, if you go to Revelation chapter 13, it talks about, as far as the man in the submarine is concerned, well, again, I may have read that passage and then dreamt that night. I don't know, but it was a long time ago. Chapter 13 in Revelation talks about the beast, the first beast that comes out of the sea, that rises out of the ocean. It talks about he's a world governor for 42 months, which amounts to 3.5 years, which is exactly half of the term of tribulation, the 7 years of tribulation on the earth. It talks about him suffering a mortal head wound, which he recovers from, and all the people are deceived by him. All the people of the earth are deceived by him, and they just think he's all that in a bag of chips, if I may use that phrase. Anyway, this is my interpretation of the dream. Now, I've had many others, but some of you commented, and thanks again to my friend Glenn for helping me get my first video out and about, and I'm hoping he'll do the same with this one. I don't know. I'm having it only took me 17 minutes to shoot the first one, but my goodness, it took me hours and hours to figure out how to. I'm not tech savvy. It took me several hours to figure out how to get it out on the on the public YouTube, so that it's accessible to the public. Put it that way. Hopefully, I don't have that much trouble with this one now that I've done my first one. I'm hopeful, and I've actually it's 7 o'clock. I've skipped watching the news tonight, and I feel better for it. I'll probably watch it at 11. But anyway, thank you all again for your prayers and love and encouragement, brothers and sisters in Christ. Like I say, I did it in the house today because, well, the bugs are bad out there, and there's not a lot of wind, and I want to be inside my Wi-Fi, so I make sure this goes through. Got to keep it under 15 minutes. It's 14:11 now. I got nothing else to say except God bless everyone. I'll keep you all in prayer, and thank you. Just thank you for welcoming me to this forum, and I hope to talk to you again. God bless everyone. Bye.